Hey guys, in this video let us learn how we can set up the Azure pipelines from VS Code itself. So before we get started, a quick introduction about myself. So this is Swami. I work as an architect at Maersk. I'm also one Microsoft MVP under Developers Technology category. I tweet at @SVSwaminathan and I blog at swaminathanvetri.in. So this is going to be the agenda of this particular short video. So first we'll get started with file new Blazor server-side application. So that's the .NET application template what I'm going to use to showcase the CI/CD aspects. And then let's push this code into GitHub and let us set up the CI/CD pipeline using VS Code extension. And then once the Azure pipeline YAML file is created by the extension, let's explore what are the tasks it does. And then let's push and deploy to the Azure web app using this particular extension itself. Right, and finally, let's do some more. Let's make some code changes and then see how the pipeline is working. Right. So if you want to follow along this video, you need to have certain prerequisites. So some of them are: the primary need is VS Code, which is the editor what you see here now, and then you need to add this deploy to Azure extension for VS Code, and you also need to have an Azure subscription, and you need to create an Azure web app within the subscription, and you also need to have an Azure DevOps account and a GitHub account, and you might need to get a GitHub pad that's a personal access token, right? And all of these are free, so you can get started right away. All right, so first let's create a sample application in .NET and then let's push it into the GitHub, right? So what I'm doing here is I'm just creating a .NET new application. Run this command .NET new -Blazor. Oops, it's a minor typo here. .NET new Blazor server is the template and I'm trying to create it in this particular folder, right? So if I do that, it is going to create the .NET application for me. So once the application is created, let's cd into that particular folder and then let's say .NET run to run this application. So this is going to now restore the NuGet dependencies and then build the application, and then it is going to run it, right? So it's available at this location. Let's quickly go ahead and explore that. Right, okay, yeah, there you go. So that's the basic Blazor server-side application which is created for us. And what we are going to do now is just go ahead and commit this repository into GitHub. Right, so before that I'm going to just open Visual Studio Code. Okay, so this is where the application code is. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add this into an GitHub repository. I have created a blank repository already, so I'm just going to follow these commands and then just get this added into the GitHub. And then okay, so now I might need to add and git ignore file to ignore all of these things, right? So what I'm going to do now is just go here and then add git ignore and say bin/obj/. So that should remove all of the other DLLs and PDB files and everything else. So now what you would see is just the pure code what we want to really commit into the GitHub, right? So I'm going to toggle the built-in window. So now git commit, and I'm going to say initial commit. Okay, so all of these are staged here. So you can also use this extension here and then just click on this plus so that it will all be staged, and you can also enter the message here. So you can just say initial commit, and you can just okay, as of now we have not set up the remote repository yet, and so what we've done is we've just committed the code. So I'm just going to use this to add my remote repository here and just say push. Either you can run to the command or you can just use the extension and then run this here. Okay, yeah, I'm publishing the master branch, so you can go and check the output here too. Go to GitHub and then you should be able to see what it is really doing. Okay, I think it's done here. Let's go back and refresh the page. Okay, all right, so the code is now pushed into the GitHub. So now let's get started with deploying the extension and then adding the extension, and then let's see how we can start the deployment process, right? Okay, to install the extension, just go here and then click on this extension tab and then type deploy to Azure, and you should be able to see this first extension here, right? So I have already installed it in my machine. So the one nice thing about this extension is that it has a capability to set up the CI/CD pipeline both in two ways. One is via using the Azure pipelines, or other is using the GitHub Actions as mentioned here, right? So if your repository is maintained in GitHub, by default it picks up GitHub Actions as the means to set up the CI/CD pipeline, and Azure pipelines model is set up for the repositories which are available in Azure repos. But it also comes up with a setting which you can enable or disable to see what kind of pipeline you want to use. So I've already modified that settings. So if you go to the settings and then type deploy to Azure, right, you can see this use Azure pipelines for GitHub. That means you can set up the CI/CD using Azure pipelines, but still your repository can be in GitHub. That's exactly what we are going to do now, as this particular repository, as this particular application is committed into GitHub. So press Ctrl+Shift+P in VS Code and then click on and then search for this deploy to Azure, and you should see this configure CI/CD pipeline. Click on that, then it should start pulling all the information depending on the logins here. So since I've already logged into my Azure, it has pulled my Azure subscription, and then all the Azure web apps available from that subscription. And you also need to give the GitHub personal access token, right? If you're not aware of how you can create the GitHub personal access token, so you can just go back to GitHub and then just go to your settings and go to developer settings here, and you can go and click on personal access tokens, and you can generate a new token. When you generate a new token, ensure you are selecting a scope as a repository, so that all the repository accesses are available for the personal access token, like the read writes for the repository is really needed. So I've already created the token, so I'm going to use that in the extension. So I'm going to paste that, and it also selects all the Azure DevOps organization under which I need to create the Azure CI/CD pipeline. So that's my organization, and this is the Azure DevOps projects within that organization what I have. So I'm going to choose that, and now it would establish the connection between the Azure DevOps organization and GitHub, and also create the entire YAML file, the Azure Pipelines YAML file with the build and the deployment steps in it. Okay, so the YAML file is created. So you can just see what is the trigger for this particular build and the deployment, right? So any comments which is going to the master branch is what is going to trigger this particular thing. And we also have defined certain variables which we would be using in the subsequent sections, right? So some of the variables Azure subscription under which I need to have this build created or the deployment done, and the web app name, which is a web app name which we chose in the extension, and under which VM you need to really build this particular or run this pipeline, and the working directory in which you need to consider, and the build configurations and build projects. So when I was trying, I had some issues with this particular thing, so I'm going to remove all of this and then just maintain this as star.cs proj. And the .NET Core version of the current project is 3.1, so I'm going to change that to 3.x. That's one of the changes what I had to do. And then if you come down, there are two stages which are available here. One is the build stage. That's where all your NuGet restoration and then the building of your application, running the unit test and publishing the artifacts to the staging directory and everything happens. And once this build stage is complete, the deploy stage happens. That's where using the Azure subscription and the Azure web app, whatever we have specified, the deployment is going to happen. So the zip file would be taken from the staging directory, and then it would be published into the Azure web app, right? So, and in one other change what we might need to do is a runtime stack here. So since it's 3.1 the application is, I'm going to change that to 3.1. And once it's done, you can see this particular notification which says modify the YAML and then commit and push to the master branch, right? So I'm going to use that commit and push. So with that, what it would do is it would now commit this entire change into the GitHub, and also it will proceed for the deployment. So its pipeline set up successfully is what is the message, and then you can click on this browse pipeline, and you can open that to go and see what is the stages. So yeah, so as you can see, this is added Azure Pipelines YAML definition, the commit message, what it has given, and it has also created this build, right? There are two stages now. One is the build stage, another is the deploy stage. So the build stage, these are the different, if you click on the build stage, these are the different tasks, what is available in that build stage. Okay. So first we are trying to do a restore, and then we would try to do a build, and then it should try to run the unit tests and publish. Let's just give it a minute for the build to complete. Yeah, so the build job is complete. Now it should trigger the deployment stage. It should go to the deployment stage, and then we should be seeing the deployment happening now. Yeah. So yeah, now it's trying to copy the zip and then deploy it into the Azure Web App, whatever you specified there. Okay, so it says you successfully deployed the web package to app service, and it should also give the Azure Web App link for us to browse it. Successfully updated the app service configuration details. And yeah, so app service is available at this particular location now. So I can click on that, and then oops, okay, it's open here. Yeah, so that's the application what we already saw in our local machine. The same thing is now deployed into the Azure Web App via this extension. So I'm just going to go back to that to show the pipeline results. So now this is complete, so both the stages are complete. So you can drill down into here and then go and see what are the different steps. So now it says manually run because we pushed and then we created it, right? So let's finally do one quick check-in into the commit into the code, and then let's see how that is going to behave. So just what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to open the index.tsr welcome to your app, and in below, so I'm going to add these couple of lines. So built with Blazor and deployed with extension. Right. Since it's just an HTML change, I'm going to directly commit this. This check-in, or this commit, I should say. Staging it, commit it, and then push it. So once you push it, you can just quickly check if the push is complete. And as the push gets completed, you should be seeing a new pipeline, new build which is triggered already for this test commit. There you go. So yeah, so now again this build should run, and then the deployment would complete, and then by the end of it we should be able to see the newer change in there. Alright, yeah, so the deployment is complete. Now if we go and check out the website, we should see the newer change there. Yeah, there you go, built with Blazor, deployed with VS Code extension. So yeah, so that's pretty much what I wanted to show. So let's quickly recap the agenda. So we started with file new Blazor server-side application, and then we pushed that code to GitHub, and we had set up the CI/CD pipeline from VS Code, and we also explored what is the Azure pipeline YAML it created, and we pushed and deployed the change into the Azure Web App, and finally we made a minor change and then saw how the pipeline worked. Yeah, so that's pretty much what I wanted to cover. Thank you.